It's another one of Mom's recipes today. Well, almost Mom's recipe, because I'm going to show you how to make, with a few modifications, my mom's pot roast. We're going to season up some chuck roasts, get them in the Dutch oven with some great flavors, add some fantastic vegetables, and in a few hours, we are going to have a feast. So for pot roast, you gotta have a roast, and we're gonna be using chuck roast today. I have 2 chuck roasts here. These are USDA choice chuck roasts. Total weight is about 4.5 pounds. I couldn't get anything bigger than these, and I wanted about a 4-pound chuck roast, so we're just gonna kind of put these together. Now these do have string on, they're tied up, so at the end of the cook, we will be removing that. But first, we're gonna season these up really well with salt and pepper, and I'm using a 50-50 mix of a coarsely ground black pepper and kosher salt. Get these edges too. All right, looking good. Let's get these over to the Dutch oven. All right, I have my cast iron enameled Dutch oven here. A Dutch oven really works well for this, and we're just gonna get this going on medium-high heat right now. Gonna get a couple tablespoons of olive oil in here. And I also have my oven preheated to 300 degrees because we're going to be cooking this in the oven covered with the lid on. All right, we are going to brown our chuck roasts. Just going to do them one at a time. Just a couple minutes on each side. And get those edges too. Now you can put as much of a sear on these as you want right now. I don't want to go too dark. Get our edges a bit. What I'm really going for here is getting some of the flavor off this meat into the pan so we can build our flavors with the broth we're going to be making with this. All right, I'm going to remove the chuck roast and turn our heat down to low right now. We're going to add maybe just a tablespoon more olive oil. I'm going to add a medium shallot that's been chopped up and half a red onion that's been chopped. I'm going to let these soften for a minute. We're going to add 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour here, and about 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. Just want to stir this until you just start seeing that browning, and we've got it. I'm going to add 2 cups of beef broth. You really want to take a minute here if you're using a enameled cast iron like I am, with a wooden spoon, and just sort of scrape that bottom. Try and get all that good flavor off there. People call it fond, people call it the brown bits. Call it what you want, it's good flavor. I'm gonna bring our heat up a bit to probably about medium here. Now I'm gonna add a cup of red wine. Mom didn't add red wine, I'm adding red wine. I'm gonna add a teaspoon of dried thyme, half a teaspoon of a dried ground sage, and 2 bay leaves. And with your wooden spoon, if you're doing this, you can really feel if that fond, those brown bits, start to come off the bottom. They'll start to feel smooth, and it's starting to feel smooth here, which is good. All right, I'm gonna put our chuck roasts in here gently. Try not to splash too much, even though I splashed a little there. I'm gonna turn off the heat, get our lid on. And this is going in the oven. So that's going to go for 2 hours at 300 degrees. Then we will check it, and probably at that time we will be adding our vegetables, our root vegetables, and our potatoes. So I'll see you back here in a couple hours. All right, our pot roast has been going for 2 hours. Let's have a look at it. I'll go ahead and take it out of here so we can get a close look. We're going to keep the oven going because it's going back in when we get the vegetables in there. So let's get our lid off, check our pot roast, and see if it needs any more time just by itself or if it's time to add the vegetables. I can tell you it smells terrific right now. I'm just gonna check for some tenderness here. A little bit of resistance, but not a whole lot. And remember, this is still gonna have another hour to go with vegetables. So let's see, let's just get a temperature in there. So the internal temperature right now is 195 on these, 190 on that one. So by the time we go another hour with these in there with vegetables, these are gonna be tender and done. So right now we're going to temporarily remove these so we can add our vegetables. Oh, and they are tender. They are starting to come apart here, so I want to be careful. I don't want to lose it. This is where those strings do come in handy to help hold them together. All right, let's get some vegetables in here. So at this stage, it's really about the vegetables you want to add and how many. Now there's a good amount of liquid still in here and the chuck roast still have to go back in, so I don't want to overfill it. And I went ahead and I prepped these vegetables. I did some multicolored carrots, some parsnips, some turnips, got some pearl onions, got some potatoes. We're just going to start putting them in. I'm going to take some of these carrots. Got some turnip going in now. And these are all just cut into sort of, bite-sized pieces. Got some parsnips here. Throw some pearl onions in. These are whole pearl onions that have been peeled. And some potatoes. I'm using a mix of small red and fingerling potatoes. Now I'm carefully going to get these chuck roasts back in here. There we go. Everybody made it. Throw a few more of these pearl onions in here. A few more carrots. All right, let's get our lid on, get this back in the oven for an hour at 300 degrees. All right, here we go. This has been sitting out for about 10 or 15 minutes just to sort of cool down a little bit. Haven't opened it up yet. Let's see how our pot roast turned out. It's smelling great, oh my. Let's do a quick check of some of our veggies here. Yeah, nice and tender. Oh, that feels good, yeah. Now you can cook this a lot more until it just disintegrates, but I want to be able to get some slices out of this if possible. But if it falls apart, it's still great. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the meat and the veggies here, and then I'm going to thicken up this gravy a little bit. Let's get our chuck roasts out of here. Scoop our veggies temporarily onto a plate. If a few end up stuck in there, no problem. They'll just be part of the gravy. Let's grab one of our bay leaves. We want to get those out of there. There's our other bay leaf. All right, I'm going to cover the vegetables and the chuck roast with some foil on the plates right now, and we're going to get this over to the stove and reduce this and thicken it up. Get some gravy on here. Nice piece of crusty bread. All right, here it is, our plate of pot roast vegetables and a little bit of crusty French bread right there. Now, when I thickened up the gravy, all I did was add 2 tablespoons of cornstarch that had been mixed with 2 tablespoons of water. I just added that as a slurry as I whisked it in the Dutch oven. Simmered for about 10 minutes, that reduced, thickened up the gravy. You can go longer if you want, add more of a slurry to get it thicker. This is just about right for me. Let's go ahead and taste, and first I'm gonna go for some potatoes. Let's see, it's a little red potato. Now, my mom would not put red wine in hers. That's really about the only addition I did. And I gotta say, I like that red wine. It gives a real body of flavor here. It permeates the food, gives you a really nice flavor, a nice additional flavor. Mom's was great. I think mine's just a little bit better. Mom, I'm sorry. Carrots. When I do pot roast like this, and the same way my mom did, she didn't cook it until everything was mush. There's still a tiny bit of bite to those carrots so they aren't totally soft. And that's really the way I like it. I don't want to turn them to mush, and these taste great. It's more of a root vegetables here. This is a turnip. That's one of the things I'm really glad my mom taught me, was adding things like that turnip, parsnip, things which a lot of people really don't use in their pot roasts, their stews, things like that. They take on great flavor in here. But now, star of the show, this chuck roast. Let's get a taste. I'm just gonna take a table knife, and it was holding together just enough so I could slice it like this. Let's see. So juicy, great flavor. The gravy adds a nice little touch on top, but spending 3 hours in that Dutch oven with all those flavors, it just permeates the meat. It's fantastic. So that's my mom's pot roast with a slight addition. I think mine takes it just a little farther. It's such a classic dish, and you can mix and match, add things you like, take things away you don't like. The most important thing when you're making food like this is make it so it pleases you and the others you're serving it to.